welcome back. So today we're going to talk about part 2, the second half of my adventures in Italy. So we left off with the first half of the trip, which was landing in Milan. We went to Verona and then we went to Florence, had a Tuscany wine trip. Milo just has to say hi. He doesn't know what to think. Anyway, we stopped after our wine tour trip. Now we are moving on to Rome. So Rome starts week 2 of our 2-week trip of adventures. And to be honest, I know Rome is like the classic destination on an Italy trip, but we were both very intimidated by it. It's so big and there's so much to see. We didn't even crack a dent in Rome, but we did see so much and I can't wait to tell you. It ended up being so beautiful. I fell in love with it. I love the white walls of the city. The streets were beautiful. There were fountains at every twist and turn, which I loved that so much. We went to a rooftop bar there and we saw the sun setting over the city. Afterwards, we went and saw the Trevi Fountain at night, and that was really cool. Beautiful to see, all lit up and everything. We then went back again to see it in the morning where it wasn't too busy, not too crowded. We ended up getting up super close so that we could toss our coin in the fountain. And fun facts, I always thought when you toss the coin in the fountain, you were supposed to make a wish, but you toss a coin in the fountain so that you will one day return to Rome, which in itself is a pretty good wish. So hopefully one day I can return to Rome because, I mean, that would just be absolutely amazing. So we saw, of course, the iconic Mouth of Truth, which was a big one for me because I'm a huge fan of A Roman Holiday. That is one of my favorite movies. We also had this amazing tour of the Roman Forum, which my high school Latin nerd self was thriving in that moment. I was probably borderline annoying because I'd be like, ooh, fun fact about this, just because like so much information came flooding back to me and I was just so excited. I felt like I was inside a textbook. It was absolutely amazing. Wow, I'm a nerd, but that's okay. Next up, we went inside the Colosseum. We saw the arena floor and then we went up on the higher levels to get an overall view of the Colosseum. Oh my gosh, it's so fascinating. It's so well preserved. What surprised me the most about the Colosseum were how close the seats are to the arena floor. I didn't expect to look up and be like, oh my gosh, the people in that front row, it's not just looking at like a bunch of bodies slaughtering each other, fighting animals to the death or whatever. You would be able to see their faces almost perfectly clearly. And the thought of that like front row seat is completely baffling to me. Now, I could go on for hours, history lesson and fun facts about the Colosseum, Roman Forum, and Roman culture and all that. I won't bore you to death because you didn't come here for something you can learn at school or from a book. But I will take a second to gush about our hostel. We have finally made it to paradise. We finally figured out our type of hostel. This hostel had AC. This hostel was like a college dorm. It's a social hostel, so we got to socialize, interact with other people. We took a cooking class, which was really fun. Then after the cooking class, they had karaoke night, and it was so much fun just getting to interact with the people that all came to Rome for the same reason, to explore and experience the magic of the city. It was such a great time to bond. I absolutely loved that camaraderie. It was such a cool experience. One of the creepiest things on the trip, it was recommended to us by our hostel, was going to this crypt. It was this specific class of monks. They had all these bones and things that they went and created sculptures and furniture and chandeliers. Oh my gosh, I don't have words for it. All that I really retained was these monks that didn't have anything better to do than build things out of bones. I didn't get to read every single thing. It is something I do want to research. Then you go in and you see these rooms, bone room sculpture things that these men made. Very cryptic, no pun intended. I was so uncomfortable. I was fascinated by it, definitely, but it was very eerie. Let me just say I said my prayers that night because I was super creeped out. We'll leave it at that. That's pretty much how we finished off our third night in Rome, and after that, we went south to Naples. So after Rome, we took a train to Naples. We took the Vesuviana, which is a train. We took that to get to Sorrento, where our next Airbnb was. When we got there, again, super lucky, another paradise. This place was gorgeous. We had a fun little window that when we opened it up, we could get to the roof of the Airbnb and look out over the coast. It was so beautiful. I left my heart on the Amalfi Coast in Italy. Arriving in Sorrento was such a relief to me because I missed the beach. I missed being by water. As much as I love the city and the countryside, there's nothing like the smell of the sea. And the Mediterranean is the most beautiful water I've ever seen in my entire life. Parts of it are this beautiful sapphire color, and in other parts it's like this emerald green. When we went swimming in it, I felt like I was inside a painting. It was so surreal being in something so beautiful. I think some of the best food was in the south as well. We didn't have a lot of pizza up north because we knew the south is where you get pizza. Oh my gosh, was it good. And I had been waiting that entire trip for some really good tiramisu. And in Sorrento, we sure enough found it. So we are on the last stop of the journey, really. We spent the first night just exploring, got some good rest. The next day, we took a ferry to the Island of Capri. We explored Augustus's villa, his gardens on the island. A lot of the emperors had like summer homes, vacation homes over there. We did a lot of hiking that day. We saw the Fair Leones. We continued up on the path so we could find the natural arch, and that was a hike. The hike was so intense. I remember seeing like a peak of it and I was like, okay, yeah, we're good. And Lena was like, no, Elaina, we should just go. We should just see how far away it is. By the time we got to our next stopping point, I was like, no, we came too far. Absolutely have to do it. It was the most amazing thing just because it's things that I've seen in pictures, and we really did see so much just on one day of hiking. I just loved all the flowers. There was so much color. There was an amazing breeze coming off the water. I honestly believe we have found paradise. Also in Capri are the biggest lemons I have ever seen in my entire life, and that was really cool. So I'll put a picture of that right there. The next day, we travel to visit Pompeii. Again, I can spend hours talking about the history and context of Pompeii, but I'll try to keep it as succinct as possible. Walking these ancient streets that give so much information about Roman culture and what their daily lives were like. Really fascinating. I feel like I was in a National Geographic magazine. This is another place that ever since I was a little girl, I was obsessed with Pompeii and Titanic. Those were my two big obsessions. To actually be there was absolutely surreal. We turned a corner and we saw the bodies. People that did not survive the volcano explosion in 79 AD. It turned my stomach. It went from my mind exploding with information and just trying to like retain everything. Then all of a sudden I felt it in my heart and in my gut. Just saw these people crouched and cowering, some with their mouths open, just trying to get a breath of fresh air. Little did they know that every breath that they were taking was killing them faster. I was sad. I know I said I wasn't going to go on too long about this. I'll try not to, but there was no word in Latin for volcano. They had no idea what was happening when all of a sudden this mountain exploded. The ground's shaking and there's pumice stones hailing from the sky. Over the course of almost a full day, they were in darkness and breathing in these horrible fumes. If they survived the hail, they were just breathing in these toxic gases until their city was eventually buried by the volcano. Imagine just waking up one day and not knowing what's going on. The only thing that you can think in your mind is, why are the gods doing this to us? This is the end of the world. You take refuge inside your house thinking, oh, maybe we'll be safe in here. You didn't know that you would never leave your house again. You would never walk those streets again. Me being there thousands of years later, walking those streets, the experience shifted. After Pompeii, we took a bus. It took us most of the way up Vesuvius, so it was nothing like our mountain hike. We just did a 20-minute walk all the way up, and we looked into the crater. As a kid, you'd think, oh my gosh, I want to see the inside of a volcano one day. Here I was finally doing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my childhood self would be so mind blown that I'm actually doing it. Especially after going to Pompeii, it was a little weird, but it was so cool and so beautiful. On our last day in Sorrento, we took a boat tour. We had a full day of boat riding, basking in the sun, swimming in the Mediterranean. We explored Capri again. We took a chairlift to the highest point to look over the island. The boat tour took us around the Sorrento coast. We passed through another natural arch, not the same one on Capri, but off the coast of Capri. We saw a lighthouse. We saw the white grotto, we saw the green grotto, we saw the blue grotto, which was so beautiful. And of course, we went inside the blue grotto because that was something we could not miss. So what we had to do was get in a separate boat, and we went through this teeny tiny cave hole, and then on the inside, the waters just light up. It's all a natural reflection from the sun. I'm so glad we did it. Waiting to go into the blue grotto did take up a decent chunk of time, so after that we headed back to Sorrento. But before we got off the boat, they took us by a waterfall. This was another really cool thing. They said if you stand under the waters, you will stay young forever. That was the coldest, refreshing water I've ever stood under, and I loved every second of the freezing droplets falling all over me. It was just such a cool way to top it all off, finish off the day. Like I said, that was our last night in Sorrento. That was really nice just to relish and live in the moment. Feel sad about leaving, but also just so happy to have these moments, enjoy it while it lasted. The next day we headed back north to Naples, where we stayed the night in the hostel. We didn't spend a lot of time in Naples or exploring. We just kind of were burnt out at the end of the trip. If I do go back to Italy, I would love to give Naples a couple days to see the archaeological museum there, as well as explore the streets. The next day, we got to the airport. We said our goodbyes, flew into Barcelona. The next day, I got to the airport, got on my flight, and I headed back home. The whole experience, there's just no way to describe it. All I can say is that I can't wait to travel more. I encourage everyone to travel more. It's a great way of looking at our country, thinking certain things over there make a lot of sense. I wish we could implement these certain things into our country's culture. Then on the other side of that coin, it makes me so grateful for the things that this country does have. We're far from perfect, but I will say I am all for trains. We need trains here. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about car accidents. You don't have to worry about staying alert and driving and making sure you don't die. All you have to do is sit on a train, relax for a few hours, read a book, listen to music, and next thing you know, you're there. I could take a train to Disney World. If I got on I-10 West here in Pensacola, I-10 goes all the way to California. Imagine if there was a train that did that. I could take a train to New Orleans, Mobile, Biloxi. It just makes too much sense. Again, everyone, if you get the opportunity, travel, travel, travel. You can only get so much from a TV show or a book. It's nothing like being there in person. So I say do it. I love you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I hope you guys are enjoying your summer. I hope you're staying happy, healthy, and bright. I will see you next time. There's one video left. It's about me getting lost in the mountains of northern Italy. Hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment for me below. I'll see you then. Bye.